Hello, beautiful learners. Hope you're doing great. I'm also good by the grace of Almighty. So it's our day 47, and in this lesson we are going to practice IELTS listening practice test with answers and proper explanation for achieving band 9. So before going to start our class, I just need to check whether you can hear me as well as the audio track. Okay, just give me a few sec to check it.
You will hear a number of different recordings, and you have to answer questions on what you hear. There'll be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played only once. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers into your answer sheet. Now turn to section 1.
Okay, I hope you are hearing me as well as the audio track, and I hope you got the instruction from her as well as she was talking. Now let's start our today's lesson. Now here we can see answer the following question using no more than 3 words and or number for each answer. Okay, so I need to maybe okay let's read it for question number 1, and let's find out some keyword for this question. Okay, so we are allowed to write, as it is mentioned here, we are allowed to write 3 words and a number for each answer. So, okay, so just keep it in your mind. So let's move on and let's read it. Okay, on which day and date does the women want to fly to Toronto? Okay, so which day and date? So now we are going to listen it for day and date. Okay, so let's highlight it and let's listen it.
Agent. First, you have some time to look at questions 1.
Flying from Sydney?
Yes, on Thursday, please.
Thursday the 16th, right? There are 3 flights that day.
So the lady was saying Thursday, and the man was replying that Thursday 16th, and the lady was saying, okay, so the answer we should write is Thursday 16th. Okay, let me put it. Thursday 16th will be the answer. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 2. What class does the women want to fly in? So what class? Okay, what class? Let's listen it.
Do you prefer flying with any particular airline?
I've heard that Air Canada is good, but expensive. Is there a big difference in prices between the airlines? I'll be flying business class.
Yes, there is.
Okay, so the lady was saying I'll be flying business class. So business would be the answer. Let me put it. Business would be the answer. Now let's listen it for question number 3. Let's read it. What the lowest price for a ticket on the days the customers has chosen? So which one the lady choose? Let's listen it for lowest price of the ticket. Oops, lowest price for ticket. Okay, no, I should select lowest price. Okay, let's listen it for.
Air Canada is the most expensive airline at $4,000 to $6,000 for business class, depending on the date of return. Qantas is $3,000 to $6,000. And Pacific, the budget airline, charges between $2,000 and $3,500.
Wow, that's quite a difference in prices. I'm returning on from Wednesday 22nd, so could you check the return prices for me?
Sure. Let me just enter the return date into the computer. OK. Air Canada has tickets for $4,600. Qantas has them for $4,200. Pacific has tickets for $3,200. Those prices all include taxes and surcharges.
Okay. Before I make a decision, I would like to know the departure and arrival times in...
Okay, so that means the lowest price is 3,200 as the man was saying. Pacific has a ticket for 3,200. Okay, so now let's listen it for question number 4. What does a ticket price includes? I hope we also listened it for this answer. Okay, so let's listen it one more time and highlight the keyword. Okay, so what does the ticket price include? Ticket price includes what? Let's listen it one more time.
Before I make a decision, I would like to...
Taxes and has tickets for $3,200. Those prices all include taxes and surcharges.
Okay, so I hope you got it right now. As the man was saying, those prices all includes taxes and surcharges. So let me put it. Taxes. Taxes and surcharges. Surcharges. Okay, so let's move on. Here we can see here's another instruction for us to follow. Okay, no more than one word or a time for each gap. Okay, so here we have 6 column. Okay, and in the first column we can see it's airline and its second column it's outward flight, and in the third column it's arrival, and in the fourth column it's return flights departure, and in the fifth column it's arrival time again, and in the sixth one we can see it's stopover. Okay, now let's listen it for question 5. Okay, just for Qantas, let me highlight it, and it's okay outward flight departure time. Okay, now let's listen it.
And surcharges.
Okay. Before I make a decision, I would like to know the departure and arrival times in both directions.
Of course. Let's look at Air Canada first. Leaves Sydney at 10 a.m. and arrives in Toronto at 10 a.m. local time. There's a stopover in Vancouver. The Qantas flight leaves Sydney at 1:45 and arrives...
Okay, I hope you got it now. As the man was saying, the Qantas flight leaves Sydney at 1:45. So 1:45 will be the answer. Okay, 1:45 will be the answer. Now let's listen to question number 6. Okay, Qantas stopover. Okay, where? Let's listen it.
Arrives at 10:15 a.m. There's also a stopover in Vancouver.
Okay, so the man was saying there is a stopover in Vancouver. So Vancouver will be the answer. Let me put it. Vancouver. C-O-U-P-E-R. Vancouver will be the answer. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 7. Okay, for outward departure time for Pacific. Okay, let me highlight it and let's listen it.
But it's shorter than the Air Canada one. Pacific flies via Los Angeles and leaves at 6:15, arriving at 11:15.
Okay, so the man was saying Pacific. Okay, the man was saying Pacific. Pacific flies by Los Angeles at leaves at 6:15. So 6:15 will be the answer. I can put it 6:15. And now let's listen for question number 8. For Pacific return flight departure time. Okay, let's listen it.
55 p.m.
Oh, that doesn't sound very convenient. Flying by Pacific, I mean.
Well, budget airlines do offer cheaper tickets, but they are often not so advantageous in other ways.
How about the returned flights?
Let me check. The Air Canada flight leaves Toronto at 4 o'clock and arrives at 6 o'clock local time. The Qantas flight leaves at 9 a.m. and arrives at 11 a.m. local time in Sydney. Pacific. The Pacific flight leaves Toronto at 10:25 and arrives
10:25 would be the answer. Let me put it. 10:25. 25 would be the answer. Okay, as the man was saying. Okay, I should write it as colon. Keyword for each answer. Okay, so let's listen it for question 9 and highlight some for this question. Okay, what's the customer's full name? Now we are going to listen it for full name. Okay, customer's full name. Let's listen it.
at 6:10 local time in Sydney.
Expensive.
Right, I'll book that for you, shall I? Do you have your passport with you?
Yes, I do. Here you are.
Thank you. I'll just enter your details. Okay. Could you just check this printout? Make sure that I've spelt your name correctly and have written your passport number correctly too. Will you be paying by credit card?
Yes, I have a company credit card. Here you are. Oh, my name is Reese with a C, not with an S.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll correct that. R-E-E-C-E.
And my given names are hyphenated. Mary-Ann.
Okay, so his surname is Reese. Okay, R-E-E-C-E, and she was saying my given name is Mary, or Mary Annie. Okay, N-E. Okay, let's listen it. For question number. Okay, which company does she work for? Which company? Let's highlight it. Let's listen it.
With an E. Oh, you've got that. Sorry.
Okay. Mary-Ann. Joined together.
Okay, Mary-Ann. So here we should use hyphen. Okay. So let's listen it for question number 10.
With a hyphen. Is the passport number okay?
Yes. Could you give me an official invoice, please? I need it for my company.
Certainly. Shall I use the company name as it appears on the credit card? ABC Stocks.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Could you sign here?
Okay, so company name is ABC Stock. So let me put it S-T-O-C-K as ABC Stocks. As the man was saying, could I use the company name as it appears on the credit card ABC Stocks? So ABC Stocks would be the answer. Okay, I hope you got it. Now let's okay, so that's all about part 1. Now we are going to jump into part 2. Okay, so let's move on. So here we have another instruction to follow. Complete the following sentence using no more than 3 words and for 3 words for each answer. Okay, each gap. Now let's listen it for question number 11. We can see a tenancy as agreements is a blah blah between the tenant and the landlord. Okay, so let's listen it for question number 11. Okay,
Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 20.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am here to give you a talk on tenancy agreements and other legalities. If you rent a flat or a house or bedsit, you will have a tenancy agreement or lease. This is a written legal agreement between you, the tenant, and the property owner, the landlord.
okay, so this is a written legal agreement. So let me put it WTEN, written legal. Okay, a legal agreement agreement. As the manual is saying, okay, you will have a tenancy agreement or lease. This is a written legal agreement between you and the tenant, you the tenant, and probably the owner, okay, property owner. So it would be written legal agreement. Okay, now let's listen for question number 12. The assured short hold tenancy means that your landlord cannot ask you to leave without a good reason during blah blah. So that means landlord cannot ask you to leave without a good reason during blah blah. During blah blah. Let's listen it.
Landlord. Tenancy agreements should normally contain information about the amount of rent, the length of the tenancy, and what rights you and your landlord will have under the law. In most cases, you will have an assured short-hold tenancy, which means that your landlord cannot ask you to leave without a good reason during the first 6 months.
So during the first 6 months would be the answer. Let me put it. First 6 months. Okay, as let me explain it to you. As the manual is saying, landlord cannot ask you to leave without a good reason during the first 6 months. So first 6 months would be the answer. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 13. Here we can see tenants should keep a blah blah of the tenancy agreement. Okay, so let's listen it.
Although these rights offer you some protection, it is still your responsibility to check the tenancy agreement thoroughly and make sure you agree with the terms. Do not sign the tenancy agreement if you do not know what all of it means. If you do not fully understand your rights, show your tenancy agreement to an advisor in the accommodation office or student welfare office at your university or college and ask for help. You can also get help from a housing advice centre, law centre, or citizens advice bureau. When you do sign the tenancy agreement, make sure you get a copy to keep for yourself.
So make sure you got a copy. Copy, and that means you should keep a copy. So copy would answer. Copy. Now let's listen it for question number 14. Blah blah is a list of all the items in the property. Okay, let me highlight it and let's listen it.
In case you need to check any details later on. The landlord may also ask you to sign an inventory, a list of all the items in the property, pieces of furniture.
Okay, so I should write here is an inventory, and an inventory. Okay, would be the answer. Now let's listen as the man. Okay, let me explain it to you. As the man was saying, your landlord also asks you to sign an inventory, a list of all the items in the property. Okay, so the answer would be an inventory. Okay, so it's like an agreement or something, a paper, whatever you say, so you have to sign on that. Okay, now let's listen for question number 15 to 17. Okay, so decide which 3 of the following statements about deposits are correct and write the appropriate letters on your answer sheet in any order. So 3 following 3 statements about deposit, okay, are correct and read appropriate letter. Okay, so 3 statements about deposit. Let's listen it.
Details later on. The landlord may also pieces of furniture as well included. You should make one yourself and send a copy to the landlord. Let's take a look at payments. Before you move into private accommodation, you will probably be asked to pay a deposit equivalent to 1 month's rent.
Okay, so the man is saying take a look at payment before you move into private accommodation. You will probably be asked to pay a deposit equivalent to 1 month's rent. So here, let's read all option and find out the correct one. Okay, they are social to England. They are generally equal to 1 month's rent. Oops, okay, it's close to the answer, but let's read all of them. They can be used instead of 1 month rent. They can cover bills when lives accommodation. They can cover the cost of damage. Okay, they are not payable when you are accommodation agency. They can cover legal cost of tenancy deposit. Okay, I should option B would be the answer. They are generally equal to 1 month, as the man was saying. Before you move into the private accommodation, you will probably be asked to pay a deposit equivalent to 1 month's rent. So equivalent to 1 month's rent, this is the so B would be the correct and appropriate answer for the as he was talking. Okay, so they are generally equal to 1 month's rent. Okay, now let's listen it for the beginning, remaining ones. Okay, let's listen it.
Make sure you get a receipt for any deposits or fees you have paid. When you leave the accommodation, if you have paid all your bills and caused no damage to the property, your full deposit will be paid back to you.
Okay, so the man was saying, when you leave the accommodation, if you have paid all your bills and caused no damage to the property, so they are okay. So they can use instead of 1 month rent. They can cover when accommodation. Okay, they can cover the cost of damage. They are not payable when you use an accommodation agency. They can cover the legal cost of agency deposit. Okay, so I think they can cover up unpaid bill. They can cover unpaid bills when you leave accommodation. I hope due to the answer, as the man was saying, when you leave the accommodation, if you have paid all your bills and caused no damage in the property, so that means it will cover your unpaid bill. Okay, when you leave accommodation. So D would be the answer. Now let's listen for the remaining one.
If you are renting through an accommodation agency, you may also be asked to pay fees for preparing tenancy agreements, agent's deposit if you have paid deposits or fees you have paid. When you leave the accommodation, if you have paid all your bills and caused no damage to the property, your full deposit will be paid back to you.
So the man saying your full deposit will be back to you, so they can cover the cost of damage to furniture. So that means A would be option A, as the man was saying. Okay, we got this answer in a row, as the man was saying. When you leave the accommodation, if you have paid all bills and caused no damage to the property, and the man was saying your full deposit will be paid back to you. So that means this D and E are the correct letter. Okay, they can cover unpaid bills when you leave accommodation, and they can cover the cost of damage to furniture. So these two are a correct letter. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 18 to 20. And here we can see decide which three ways a landlord can legally evict a tenant other than an exclude tenant, and write the appropriate letter on your answer sheet in any order. Okay, so three ways a landlord can legally evict a tenant. So which three ways? Let's listen it.
If you are renting through an accommodation agency, you may also be asked to pay fees for preparing tenancy agreements and administration. You should also keep a written record of all the rent payments that you make as you make them. If you have a dispute with your landlord or you get behind with your rent, you should get advice as soon as possible. Remember that if you live in the same building as your landlord, or you have a room in a student or youth hostel, or university college accommodation, then this will affect how secure your tenancy will be. If you do not share any living space with the landlord or a member of their family, apart from means of access like an entrance hall or a staircase, or are a student living in halls of residence, or any other type of accommodation where an educational institution is the landlord, you will have basic protection from eviction. Your landlord will have to end your tenancy first, either by waiting for the end of the fixed term you agreed for.
So the man was saying, your landlord will have to end your tenancy first. Okay, so if we listen it from the beginning, as the man was saying, your land, as the man was saying, if you do not share any living space with the landlord or the member of the family, their family, apart from means access like entrance, hall and staircase, or other student living in the hall of residence, or the man was saying also, or any other type of accommodation where an educational institute is the landlord, you will have a basic protection from eviction. Your landlord will have to end your tenancy first. So which one do you think would be the most correct answer? Okay, by moving into the property, by moving a member her into the property, by applying to your educational institution for eviction, okay, by waiting until the tenancy agreement expires. Okay, that means, so you here we can say three ways a landlord can legally evict a tenant. So the man cannot evict you to, the landlord cannot order you to leave the house or to leave the property, because he need to show a legal notice to you. Okay, otherwise he will have to be wait when your tenancy period will be finished. So that means option D will be the answer, as he was saying. You're saying your landlord will have to end your tenancy first, so he cannot order you to leave your home. Okay, so D would be the answer, by waiting until tenancy agreement expire. As the man was saying, your landlord will have to end your tenancy first. Okay, now let's listen it for the remainings.
For the tenancy, or by giving you at least 4 weeks for the end of the. Your landlord will have to end your tenancy first, either by waiting for the end of the fixed term you agreed for the tenancy, or by giving you at least 4 weeks written notice in writing to quit, or.
Okay, there's another way, as I mentioned, either by writing, either by waiting for the end of the fixed term you agreed for, the tendency, or by giving you at least 4 weeks written notice to in writing to quit. So yeah, we can see. Okay, by giving you at least 4 weeks notice that you have to leave. Okay, so F would be the answer. Okay, now let's listen it for question number. Okay, the last one.
Or through getting a court order. Before you have to leave. If you share living space, for example, before you notice in writing agreed for the tenancy, or by giving you at least 4 weeks written notice in writing to quit, or through getting a court order. Before you have to leave.
Okay, or through getting a court order before you have to leave. So for a court order, okay, by getting court to issue an order for you to leave. So G would be the answer. Okay, as the man is saying. So I hope we are done with part 2 also. Now let's jump into part 3, and here we can see answer the following questions no more than 2 words for each answer. Okay, just keep it in mind, we are allowed to write 2 words only for each answer, okay, but not more than. So what did Clara originally want to do her project? So Clara originally, okay, let me write it. Clara want to do her project on. Okay, so let's listen it.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 30. Good morning, Clara. Take a seat. Right, I've read your first draft of your project on housing. Well done.
Thank you. I know it's only a first draft, though, so I'm sure you have some suggestions on how it can be improved. I was very nervous at first because it wasn't my first choice of topic. I had wanted to do something on voting patterns, but getting information...
Okay, so she is saying I wanted to choose something on voting pattern. So voting pattern would be the answer. Let me put it. Voting pattern, and voting patterns. Okay, now let's listen for question number 22. What can Clara read about housing price every day? Clara read about housing price every day. Okay, let's listen it.
Well, it didn't look possible within the time frame.
Don't worry. I think that you have made a good choice. Yes, a comparison of the factors influencing house prices. Very topical.
Definitely. There seems to be something about housing prices in the newspapers every day. I just wanted...
So newspaper would be the answer. Let me put it. Newspaper. Okay, newspaper should be the answer. As the lady was saying, there seems to be something about housing price in that newspaper. So newspaper will be the answer. Now let's listen it for question number 3. Which facilities might influence housing price? So which facilities? Let's highlight it and let's listen it.
To compare the different factors. You know, location, the proximity of facilities such as schools.
As I said, a good...
Okay, so the lady was saying, the location, the proximity of the facilities such as school. So yeah, we should write school would be the answer. Let me put it. Schools. Okay, would be the answer. Now let's listen to for question number 24. What did Clara's friends suggest including information on? Okay, Clara's friends suggest including information on. Let's listen it.
Good choice of topic. Now, the first part is very well done. You clearly introduce what you are going to look at, why and how.
Do you think that I have covered enough points there?
I think so. Did you have anything else in mind? You know, something else you'd like to cover?
Well, a friend suggested that I might include crime rates.
Okay, so actually saying a friend suggested that I might include crime rate. So crime rate would be done. So let me put it. Crime rate. Crime rate should be done. So now let's listen it for question number 25. Where could Clara get such information from? Okay, Clara get such information from. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay, get such information from. Let's listen it.
Actually, that's a very good idea. You might consider it. It is something that many people take into account, consciously or otherwise. When choosing a place to live, nowadays the police are required to keep quite detailed statistics on crime, and you can get...
So the police will be done. So let me put it. Police. I see. Police, as the man was saying, it is something that people take into account consciously or otherwise when choosing a place to live. Nowadays, the police are required to keep quite detailed. So now let's listen it for question number 26. Before that, we have another instruction to follow. So let's read it. No more than 3 words and a number for each answer. Okay, each gap. So we are just allowed to write 3 words and a number for each answer. Okay, now let's read the question. In the middle park, Clara needs to use a blah blah. Let's listen it.
Now, I have to say that I found the middle part more difficult to get through.
Oh, I thought I had done that rather well.
Don't worry, it's not awful. It's just that, well, try to take a uniform approach. Use one for each criteria people use.
So the man was saying, well, try to take a uniform approach. So uniform approach will be done. So let me put it. Uniform approach. L-O-S-C-H approach done. So now let's listen it for question number 27. The professor suggests blah blah of the bibliography. Let's listen it.
When choosing housing. That way you're comparing with rather than different things.
I see. So I should stick with one as far as possible. Yes, that does seem logical. So I don't really need to get more data or write much more. Instead, I need to change. I've got it.
It just makes it a lot easier to read. That's the main thing.
Yes, of course. How about the conclusion?
Based on the information you've provided, I think that you've done very well. You'll have to see if the new information you include changes your conclusion at all. It probably won't make a big difference, but you might see variations in some areas.
Okay. Do you think that I used appropriate headings? And is the bibliography okay? I know that a lot of professors look long and hard at that, whilst most students think it's unimportant.
Yes, professors find the bibliography very useful. It tells us where you are getting your information from and whether those sources are appropriate. Your bibliography is fine, but you might consider changing the format. Here's a printout of the most...
So the man was saying your bibliography is fine, but you might consider changing the format. So changing the format would be the answer as the professor was. So he's the professor actually. I'm sorry. So the professor was suggesting that changing the format. So let me put it. Oops. Changing the format. Okay. Now let's listen it for question number 28. The professor suggests that headings are blah blah. Okay. So let's listen it.
Widely accepted format. You can keep that.
Thank you. And the headings?
I made a few notes. Here are some suggestions.
Okay, I'm sorry that we
Don't
are
feel
out
that
of time. I need to restudy again from. Okay, so we was here. The professor suggests that headings are. The professor suggests headings are blah blah. Okay.
now I have to tell you about
To change.
one thing.
Yes, of course. How about the conclusion?
Based on the information you've provided, I think that you've done very well. You'll have to see if the new information you include changes your conclusion at all. It probably won't make a...
Do you think that I used appropriate headings? And is the bibliography okay? I know that a lot of professors look long and hard at that, whilst most students...
uses are appropriate. Your bibliography is fine, but you might consider changing the format.
Thank you. And the headings?
I made a few notes. Here are some suggestions. Don't feel that you have to use them. I won't be offended, but some of your headings are long-winded, whereas others are relatively short, as they should be.
Thank you.
So short would be the answer. Let me put it short, as the man was saying. I made a few notes. Here are some suggestions. Don't feel that you have to use them. I won't be offended, but some of your headings are long-winded, whereas others are relatively short, as they should be. So short would be the answer. Okay, it should be short, as the man was saying, professor was saying. Okay, so let's read it for question number 29. How much longer does Clara have to finish the project? So how much longer? Let's listen it.
I'll take a look at these later.
How long did you work on the whole thing?
Well, 2 months, perhaps on average of 3 hours a day. Not more than that. Probably 150 hours.
That's about what I would recommend. Anything less than 120 hours is going to be detrimental to the project. You'll probably need another 50 hours work on it in total. You've still got a month, so you should manage it easily.
Yes.
So the professor was saying at the last, you still got a month, so you should manage it easily. So still got a month, so a month to be the answer, or 1 month to be the answer. Let's put it as 1 month, a month. Okay, MONTH, a month. Okay, now let's listen it for question 30. So what's the last thing Clara needs to do before giving the professor her project? Okay, last thing. Okay, last thing needs to do. Okay, let's listen it.
A couple of hours a day. Easy.
I'd suggest that you come back to see me in, about, let's say, 3 weeks' time. Then you should be virtually finished, and I can have another look before you do your final proofreading, before handing it in.
Okay.
Okay, so the man was saying, I can have another look before you do final proofreading, before handing it in. So proofreading will be the answer. Let me put it. Or you can just write final proofreading, but I'm going to write proofreading only. Okay, let me put it. Proofreading will be the answer. Now let's listen it for question number. Okay, we are going to solve for part 4 now, because we are done with part 3. Okay, as well. So let's read screen as we are saying. Okay, so answer the following information about British education scholarship using no more than 3 words and a number for each gap. Okay, so here we can see British education scholarships all about. Okay, now let's read it for question number 31 and let's listen it. Okay, then so here we can see available to all overseas students for a student, okay, at for a student at blah blah level. Okay, let's listen it.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Welcome to this presentation on scholarships and funding. If you are hoping for help with funding your studies in the UK, you need to get working on this as soon as you can. It is almost impossible to make arrangements for financial support once you have left your own country. Start by inquiring with your own Ministry of Education or Department of Education. Your local British Council office can provide details of awards available, including those offered by UK institutions themselves. You'll also find information and a scholarships database on their website. The main scholarship schemes available for international students include British Education Scholarships, Commonwealth Scholarships, Foreign Office Scholarships, and Overseas Students' Research Awards. British Education Scholarships are prestigious awards, enabling talented international students to study in the UK at postgraduate level.
So at postgraduate level, so postgraduate will be the answer. Let me put it. Postgraduate level. Okay, now let's listen it for question 32. Okay, 2000 awarded each year, full award, blah blah award, or potential award. Okay, let's listen for question number 32.
Students studying for at least one academic year are eligible. About 2,000 new scholarships are currently awarded each year, and there are plans to expand the programme further. There are 3 types of scholarship. The first is a full award, where all the fees, a living allowance, and travel to and from the UK are paid for. Then there is a fees-only award, where all or part of
Then there is, as the letter saying, then there is a fee only award. So fees only award. Okay, now let's listen for question number 33. Okay, worth up to blah blah pound. Let's listen it for the third one.
the fees are paid. Finally, there is a partial award, where a combination of the fees and the allowances are paid. The value of the scholarship will vary depending on the type of the award, the length of the course, and the country from which the student comes, but it is up to a maximum of £20,000.
So, but it is up to maximum £20,000. So, £20,000 would be the answer. £20,000 would be the answer. Okay, you got it. Now let's listen it for question number 34 to 35. Okay, here we can see answer the following questions about Commonwealth scholarships using no more than 3 words and the number for each gap. Okay, so here we can see where should you apply for this scholarship, for this Commonwealth scholarship. Okay, let's listen it.
Contact the British Council or the British Embassy in your own country for details. You must be resident in your home country when you apply. Commonwealth scholarships are awards mainly for postgraduate study, although funding for undergraduate study may be possible if there are no suitable undergraduate courses in your home country. You must be a citizen of a Commonwealth country, including the UK. A university degree or equivalent is usually required. Apply to the British Council office in your country. You must be...
So where should you apply for this scholarship? So as the letter was saying, apply to the British Council office in your country. So British Council office will be the answer. So let me put it. British Council, COUNCIL, British, Council office, office will be the answer. Okay, okay. Now let's listen for question number 5. How much is each scholarship worth? So how much each scholarship worth? Let's listen it for a number.
Be resident in your own country when you apply. About 3,000 of these scholarships are awarded each year, and their value ranges from £5,000 to £15,000.
Okay, their values range from 5,000 to 15,000 pounds. So 5,000 to 15,000 pounds. Okay, 1,000 pound, as pound sign is here we can see, so we don't need to add pound sign. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 36. Complete the following information about foreign complete the following information about foreign office scholarship using no more than 3 words and 3 words for each gap. Okay, so here we can see foreign office scholarship. This is another scholarship. Okay, so here we can see award and awarded jointly by the foreign office and HE institutions, usually awarded for blah blah. Let's listen it.
Foreign Office scholarships are a joint initiative by the Foreign Office and certain UK higher education institutions. The awards are normally given for taught postgraduate courses.
So the awards are normally given for taught postgraduate courses. So taught postgraduate courses will be the answer. Let me put it. THT postgraduate courses will be the answer. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 37. Not employed by government or blah blah. Let's listen it.
In rare cases, an award may be made for undergraduate study if the course is not available at an institution in your home country. They are funded by the Foreign Office and participating UK higher education institutions. You must normally be under 35 years of age. You must be resident in a developing country, and you must not be currently employed by your government or by an international organization.
Okay, government or by international organization. So international organization will be the answer. Let me put it. Organization. Will be the answer. Okay, I hope you got it. Now let's listen it for question number 38. Course must be in field of blah blah.
You should be planning to study a subject related to development and be fluent in English.
Okay, so you're saying you should be planning to study a subject related to development. Okay, so development would be the answer. Let me put it. Okay. Development will be the answer. Okay. Now let's listen it for question number 39, and here we can see answer the following questions about overseas students or research awards using no more than 3 words for each gap. Okay, here we can see which cost is covered by these awards. Okay, let's listen it.
Apply directly to one of the participating institutions. You can ask for a list of participating institutions from the British Embassy in your country or your local British Council office. Only about 500 of these awards are made each year, and their value ranges from £7,000 to £12,000. Overseas Students' Research Awards are awards for full-time postgraduate study for a period of 1 year. They make up the difference between home and overseas students' fees. They are funded by the Ministry.
So fees would be the answer. Let me explain to you. As the man was saying, the lady was saying, they make up the difference between home and overseas students' fees. Okay, so fees would be the answer. Now let's listen for question number 40. So here it says, which organization provide those awards? Okay, let's listen
Between home and overseas students' fees. They are funded by the Ministry of Education. You must be a...
So they are founded by Ministry of Education. So Ministry of Education will be the answer. Let me put it. Ministry of Education will be the answer. Okay, so I hope we are done. So before going to submit it and show you the result, I need to re-click each answer one more time because we are out of time at the middle of our practice. Okay, now just give me a few seconds to check to re-click each answer. Oops, sorry. Yeah, it was taxes and surcharges. So CHARGES, surcharges. Okay. Okay. Where is 7? Okay. Okay, we're done. So let's submit it and check how much we obtained today. Okay, we got 9 out of 9, but we got a mistake with 1. So let's check which one we got mistake. Okay, I cannot find the mistake. Okay, this one is mistake. Okay, taxes and surcharges. Okay, taxes. Oops, sorry, it should be and not n. Okay, it was typing mistake. Oops, I'm sorry for that. So okay, so I'm not going to end this class now because I have a special lesson with it. So let's see it. Okay, so I have today an special lesson to you after the listening period is okay. So let's check. So now I'm going to show you some vocabularies which I all collected. I collected from this listening conversation. So I'm going to show you them, and I'm going to explain each word by definition and with giving you an example. Okay, so let's check them one by one. Okay, so at the first we have charges, uh, which means an additional charge of payment. If we take a look at an example, we can say this price all include taxes and charges. Okay, so let's see. Next we have stopover. Okay, stopover means a break in a journey. Okay, so if we take a look at the example, we can say the Qantas flight leaves Sydney at 10:45 and arrives at 10:15 am. There's also a stopover in Vancouver, but it's shorter than the Air Canada one. So let's read it for the next one. Next we have inconvenient, which means causing travel difficulties or discomfort, such as the Pacific flights times are too inconvenient, so I'll take the Air Canada flight even though it's more expensive. Okay, so let's move on. Next we have tenancy, which means possession of land or property as a tenant. Okay, such as the tenancy agreements should normally contain information about the amount of rent, the length of the tenancy, and what rights you and your landlord will have under the law. Next we have lease, means a contract by which one party conveys land property, service, etc. This is a written legal agreement between you, the tenant, and the property owner, the landlord. Okay, such as if you rent a plot or a house or a bedsheet, you will have a tenancy agreement or tenants lease. Okay, so tenants agreement and lease are the synonym of each other. Okay, let's move on. Next we have evict, means expel someone from a property, especially with the support of the law, such as all the landlord has to do to evict you is to give you a notice, although they must give you a reasonable amount of the time in which to leave. Okay, so next we have inventory, means a complete list of items such as property, goods in stock, or the contents of a building, such as the landlord may also ask you to sign an inventory, a list of all the items in the property, pieces of furniture, kitchen items, etc. Okay. Next we have proximity, means nearness in space, time, or relationship. For example, I just wanted to compare the different factors, location, the proximity of facilities such as schools. Okay, next we have, I think this is the last one, bibliography, which means list of the books referred to in a scholarly work, typically printed as a appendix. Okay, For example, professors find the bibliography very useful. It tells us why you are getting your information from all and whether those sources are appropriate. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this lesson. So this is all about today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed this, and I would suggest you to keep watching my videos, and these all will help you to be have a great confidence for IELTS listening. Okay, so I will see you in the next class tomorrow. So till then, bye.